Welcome back. It's Child Protection Week and the South African Police Service is raising awareness about child protection and measures in place to curb the abuse of children. To discuss now, we're joined by Major General Bafana Linda, National Head for Family Violence, Children Protection and Sexual Offences Investigations. We're also joined by Colonel Kirsten Clark, who is a SAPS Criminologist. Welcome to you both. Let me start with you, Major General Linda. It comes at a time, Child Protection Week, when children are very vulnerable. There's been claims that it's hard to get help at the moment. Some obviously have been locked down with their abusers. Just tell us what you've seen over the past few weeks.
Good evening, and good evening to listeners out there. During this lockdown period, we have been seeing that crimes that are happening in the hands of those who are supposed to protect them. As we all know, that children are now not at schools, they're at home, and they are within their own loved ones, they are within their own families during lockdown. Now we are seeing that there is a phenomenon of children getting abused within that environment which is supposed to be safe for them. We normally have cases of strange rape, strange murders, strange abuse. Now, currently, we are seeing a trend of children being abused or murdered by their own members of their family who are supposed to protect them.
Yeah, and of course we know this does happen, but I mean, are you seeing a massive increase or noticing a trend?
Well, remember that before lockdown, we had a mixture of those. We had such cases happening within families, but we also have cases where the perpetrators were strangers. But currently, now that children are not moving around within the lockdown period, we are only seeing that kind of crime happening within that space of homes.
Colonel Clark, we looked at a report earlier about the high stress that people are under at the moment. Do you believe that stress leads to more abuse? Is there a link?
I definitely think there is. One of the things that's become quite apparent over the last few weeks of the lockdown is that people no longer have access to the support structures that they did before. So a lot of people would have been able to access support from colleagues or friends or family members, the church, and they're not getting that access at the moment. And they are basically forced to be in an environment with the same set of family members over an extended period of time without any relief. And sometimes that does lead to an increase in tension, an increase in stress, which can then spill over into situations of domestic violence or emotional or physical or sexual abuse.
And what does that mean going forward? Because we know even as schools open up, it's going to be in phases. So many children still at home for quite a while. We know that sometimes those people who can help are school teachers, for example.
Yes, well, it's even more difficult for the children because it's, for example, if you come from an abusive home and you at least had a reprieve by being able to go to school every day, and you've now not got that option of being able to leave that abusive environment and go to a different environment where you're safe, at least for a portion of the day. You also now are not able to access those people who were possibly helping you, whether it was teachers or guidance counselors at school, or even just people your friends that you were able to talk to and who would be able to give you some advice and comfort. So for a lot of children, they are stuck, well, children and women, they're stuck in environments where they cannot literally escape from the abuse.
Sure, it's incredibly sad. Major General Linda, given what the Colonel is saying, I mean, do you welcome the slow reopening of the economy, more movement for those children as well?
Well, we are looking forward to the opening of the schools because those are also areas whereby matters are reported by the teachers when they observe the children, and children will freely be able to express themselves and be able to report the abuse that might have happened within the family environment while they were at home and they were afraid maybe to report those family members.
I mean, has there been any change at all in tactics? We know the problem with domestic abuse is it happens behind closed doors in homes, so hard for police to get involved. But are the SAPS being very responsive to any possible abuse and maybe going in to homes when they didn't before? I don't know. Has there been any change in approach?
Well, for the police, in terms of policing is business as usual. The family violence, child protection, sexual offences units are active and are available 24/7. In case of any matter reported, the police are able to visit those homes and be able to open up cases and investigate. We encourage people who knows or happen to have knowledge to call the numbers 10-111. That's a number that they can call. If you happen to know of the incident happening on your next door neighbor, you are not willing to be known, we have the Crime Stop number 08600 10-111. We also have my SAPS app where you can report the crime has been committed. The police are there. We are not on a lockdown. We are active. We are ready to proceed and render the service.
Colonel, are police officials adequately trained to deal with the specific needs of children, to pick up where there may be abuse? I guess, like the Major General said, often it's other adults reporting those claims, but also dealing with them effectively.
It's something that is, it does require specialized training, and it does require a special touch, if I could put it that way. Which is why we have our units such as our family and child services and the forensic social workers who are definitely better equipped to deal with it. But I'd say that from a grassroots level at a police station, when people go there, ideally it would be great if we could train every single member of SAPS on the ground to be able to render that type of service. But if I could stress one thing, it is that the public can have access to those specialized members in FCS and in the other units that provide that type of support. It just has to be done through the stations and with personnel on the ground there.
And how resourced is the family and child services?
Would you like me to answer that or General?
Yes.
I'm not.
Please go ahead, Colonel.
Okay. As with all of our specialized units, we would always like to have more staff members, always. It is a very, very difficult and draining and tiring job, and it is an endless job because it doesn't stop. It's 24/7. But by the same token, the members that we do have are incredibly dedicated and will go above and beyond to help any member of the public who is being victimized in any way. So I'd like to say we are well-resourced. I think we could be even more resourced if possible, but given the strictures under which we work and the limited resources that we, and the environment that we function in, I think that the people that we do have do the very best that they can.
Major General Linda, then it is sometimes reported that women, for example, go and lay charges and male policemen don't take them seriously or sometimes even advise them to go back to their family home. Is that changing? Is there a change in attitude? And what about child abuse? How seriously are those cases taken?
Even though it has a challenge to hear you, but on common issues of victims being sent back home, the instruction of our national Commissioner Sitole is very clear. General Sitole is very clear to say that no woman, no complainant must be sent back. If that it happens, that must be reported so that steps must be taken against that member. The victims must be assisted. And there is a training on the front line on sexual offences, how to respond to such cases.
All right, thank you, Major General. Let me throw the final question to you, Colonel Clark. We spoke about high stress maybe leading to more abuse, but the children are stressed as well, aren't they? Does that make them vulnerable in any way when they do go out? I guess it's something we should think of as well.
I think that children are, this is the first time that we're living in an environment and a situation or a period of time where we're having to deal with a life that is very uncertain. And I think that as much as we try and shield our children from it, the reality is that we are feeling stress and they feel that same stress as well. Their whole lives and their routines have changed. And for them to now start to reintegrate back into society and trying to start to go back to school, how do they interact with their friends when they're not allowed to touch them and they're not allowed to play with them? Our kids are going to be needing a lot of extra emotional support. And I think a lot of that is going to be about telling them that the negative emotions that they're experiencing, the fear and the anger and the frustration and the uncertainty, that those feelings are completely normal. It's just about how they have to be expressed in ways that are appropriate. So you can't tell your child that it's wrong for them to feel angry or wrong for them to feel sad at this time, but to try and just help them deal with the stress in as best a way as you can, considering that you as a parent are probably equally as stressed as well. It's a tough time for everybody.
All right, let's leave it there. Thank you so much. That was Major General Bafana Linda, the National Head for Family Violence, Children Protection and Sexual Offences Investigations, and Colonel Kirsten Clark, who's a SAPS Criminologist.